Hello and welcome to the first session of Nature Walks for Mindfulness. I'm Emily. I hope I know some of you already, I'm sure I do. And it's wet today, but it's going to dry up, so as we go forward we're going to have brighter weather to look at as we go out. But let's assume we're together in the woods. Let's think of ourselves as having this time to take a stroll and start to notice spring around us. So wherever you are, you could now take a moment to look around you and see if you can spot some of the signs of spring. The catkins are quite grey here. I can hear birds in the sky. So now taking a deep breath, closing or half closing the eyes, and coming into your sense of groundedness wherever you are. Notice your feet planted firmly in the ground. Relax into the weight of your body and the gravity that pulls you towards the centre of the earth. Notice your breath and get a feeling that from the top of your head to the sole of your feet there's an energy flow. Become aware of the blood pulsing through your veins and arteries and capillaries. Become aware of this breath that connects us to the wind, to the wider world, to the oceans, the currents, and down to the trees and the grasses and all the photosynthesizing living plants around us. So staying with your eyes closed or half closed and gently resting, just turn inward for a moment so that you may become aware of your more nuanced sensations that you wouldn't normally take notice of. When you find your mind wandering, bring it back to the breath. And I want you to pause the video here while you just practice in silence for 5 minutes. I'm going to walk now, and as we're not actually together, I'll be pointing things out from this space, and then we'll have a chance to stop for you to walk where you are and to see what occurs to you, wants to be seen, because within any woodland or natural environment we're presented with so much complexity and diversity of living shape and form. We couldn't possibly take it all in or register it in one moment. And so I'm inviting you to trust and rest into your instinctive, innate, reciprocal and relationship with this place, the place where you find yourself. And let it show you what it wishes to show you. being shown a very tiny bird. It's flitting around in the brambles. I think it's a wren. It's probably finding its nest, creating its home to bring forth its offspring. And what a beautiful place to do so, with the gentleness and softness of the emerald green moss, all the varieties of greens and browns and silvers and golds, some big old trees, some with sap dripping, young trees, ivy growing, a gentle breeze but largely protected. So stop for a minute now and just notice what you can see at this moment where you are. If you're in a woodland or a park or even a garden, or maybe by the side, a verge by the side of some fields, or even if you're just looking out of a window, perhaps you can see some of the spring flowers. Here at Greyfield, the wood anemones are just starting to come out. Anemone. It's always easy to say anemone, but it's anemone. I have to remind myself. The wood anemones are here, nestled amongst the shoots of the bluebells. And I've seen lots of celandines, the lesser celandines with the little yellow flowers, and also primroses around. I'm hoping you've got some of these to see where you are, because my camera's not giving enough definition to show their beauty. The green of the moss really is compelling in the woodland at this time of year, and the shapes of the trees and the way the moss covers just one side, in this case the westerly side, adds more texture and beauty to the woodland scene. So just staying now with whichever colours are around you, and just choosing one colour of a natural pigment that you can focus on. Just allowing yourself to be basked, bathed in this colour. Using this as part of your mindful focus. So noticing if your mind starts putting stories into or a description into this colour or this thing that you're looking at, or notice if your mind starts taking you elsewhere into what you should be doing later or what you wanted to do earlier, and just using your senses again to ground you right now in bathing, basking in being the colour, in this case the emerald green. Breathing in, breathing out. Noticing where your mind goes, bringing it back to your experience, not your thoughts, just your experience. Noticing where you're cold or warm. Noticing the physical sensations of your body. Noticing the sounds around you. And then basking once again in the colour, the beauty of the pigment that you've chosen to revel in from nature's offering. And pause the video here so that you can stay with your colour for a few more minutes, practicing staying present. So as I said, it's a grey day today. It's a little bit cold and my fingers are tingling. There's a little mist in the air, dampening everything. But around us are still some beautiful trees, which I want to focus in on now. And the size of these evergreens, which dwarf my small human shape and help me to feel my smallness amongst the vast creations of nature around us. And I'm noticing the ivy that's crawling up and making a beautiful decoration on the side of this tree that we're focused in on here. And some tiny voices of birds high up in the treetops. The little goldcrest loves the pine trees, so it could be those, but I think what we're hearing here is something else. So, taking into our conscious awareness these trees from their highest height up there, maybe 100 metres tall, down to where they reach the ground and beneath the ground. I'm just starting to really appreciate what it is to be rooted and hold still, hold strong when only some small root system. These trees don't have very deep root systems. When they come down, you see there's about only a metre of depth to their root system. So how they sustain the vertical reach of these heavy trunks, I would never understand. So I want you to, if you can now, look at a tree or a flower or a plant, even in a pot near you. And we're going to focus in on the rootedness. So finding yourself standing, or if you're sitting, your feet planted comfortably on the ground. And as you come into being with this tree or this plant, notice how your roots, your feet, anchor you to the ground, noticing the contact. Maybe the skin on the soles of your feet starts to tingle a little, so you become really aware of the shape of the sole of your feet, of the ability of your toes to stretch out or to wriggle in your socks. And just now thinking of yourself as proud, strong, tall, resilient, like these trees that stand in all weathers. As you breathe in, draw the energy up from your roots, from the earth. And as you breathe out, allow the carbon dioxide to float through the atmosphere to your plant, your tree, and sharing as your respiration feeds its photosynthesis. Breathing in, drawing up the energy from your roots, standing tall. Breathing out, offering your out-breath to the tree. Breathing in, becoming aware of your circulation system. Breathing out, aware of the tree, also drawing up liquids from the soil, water, nutrients from the microbes or fungi. Breathing in, standing tall, breathing out, relaxed as your leaves hang in the breeze. Now we're going to carry on breathing in, breathing out with this tree, with this plant, being to being, without thinking any more a bit than that. Just being with, allowing it to witness you, and you to witness it. We'll pause the video here for 2 minutes, practice your breath and your posture in response to this being with your plant or your tree. Hi again. So we're going to walk together now, side by side. You're next to me here. And we're going to notice how our bodies are moving. So when you take a step, notice how the connection between the way you place your foot, how your knees and your hips move, whether your chest is lifted, your sternum open to the sky, your shoulders falling back, makes a difference to how each step feels. Noticing how the weather impacts on your posture, you hunkering over in the cold, or you opened out towards the sky. Hopefully it'll be a nicer day where you are. And it's a strange time we're in at the moment. I guess we've all had to turn to remote ways of being in order to make sure that we are responsible about the infection risk. But I hope that I know we'll each get blessings and opportunities from this as our roller coaster, helter-skelter world rushes forth like a juggernaut normally, and now we get a chance to see what happens when everything stops. Obviously not for the key workers and the people who are having to keep things running to keep us afloat, and of course we all deeply respect and admire those people, but for those of us not in a public service role, it's really valuable, I feel. I'm trying to take the benefits from the slowing down and the spacing out of time. I've just stopped in front of this tree because I love the bark so much, and it goes quite a way up. And on this bank, this slope of the woods, in about 6 or 8 weeks, it will be covered with foxgloves, which only came after they did some felling here. So although the woods at the moment is looking quite traumatised from the recent bout of felling, particularly on the other side, not where we are now, there are chances then for the woodland flowers, the ground flora, to proliferate and to expand out into the light, and so we end up with a lot more diversity of the plants and flowers here, which means then we get diverse animals as well, and the whole woodland increases in biodiversity. We're coming back to this tree and its trunk. I think something's been burrowing in here actually. It looks, or maybe not, it just looks too textured and it's like a whole ecosystem in itself. And there's definitely been something burrowing down here. Okay, now we're going to go to the stream. So here we are at the stream in Greyfield. I love this bit because the water's always pretty clear and it's got a lovely gentle gurgle as it rushes down towards the waterfall. The waterfall is still a little way away. So what we're going to do here is we're going to spend a bit of time stretching and noticing how our bodies are feeling. So the advantage, of course, of being remote is that we can't see each other, so I'm going to encourage a little bit more spontaneity and self-expression than would normally be possible in our woodland sessions. So noticing if you can, if you're getting any physical sensations in response to the sight of the water, noticing where in your body you sense or respond to this flowing stream. In humans, there's a strong affinity with water as well as with green spaces, but there's something particular about water, not just the way the light reflects and the aesthetic beauty that we find in it, but there's also an innate, probably evolutionary response that makes us feel well when we're near water and revived, and whatever other many words you can think of for it. How does water make you feel? So as I was saying, we're going to notice where this feeling is in our bodies. I think I can feel it here in my stomach right now and my abdomen. That sense of opening, maybe it's a release of any tension, held tension in my stomach, my abdomen. Just noticing that positive effect of the flowing water near me. And so what I invite you to do is to be with either this image of the flowing water or with something else that you can see yourself, in which case you can pause the video when I've finished. And what we're going to do is see what physical expression this creates in your body. So you can stretch or dance or hang down and swing your arms like a rag doll. You can run up and down, you can do anything because no one else can see you. But maybe you're just going to want to stand in peace, and that's fine as well. So this is going to be a water meditation, and remembering to be with your physical senses as they ground you in the moment, your sense of connection to the earth and to the air and to the universe through the breath, and also your instinctive response, your deep innate response to water and fresh water flowing. So I'm going to leave the video going for you to be with for 5 minutes, or if you wish you could turn it off and be with, or you could leave it running actually and be with your own river or stream or pond where you are. gently coming back to this moment and this conversation that we're sharing. It's so nice to be with you. I really miss being able to be together in a group, so I hope that we're all able to get some kind of connection and well-being boost from coming out in Greyfield, even not as a group, but in these little moments together. So noticing now how your body feels after that shared time of just being with the running water and practicing. Maybe your mind was going off elsewhere. Maybe the stories that the water brings in your mind, and hopefully you didn't judge yourself for those happening. It's what our brains do, that's what they're programmed to do. But the practice of bringing ourselves back consistently to this moment does, as he always says, create new neural pathways which we can rely on at times when we need to create calm. So now we're going to look a bit at what's around us again in the gifts of the woodland. And I often come this way because I can walk to my son's school through here, and so there tends to be a few things that jump out at me. One of them is the place I collect tinder, which is here. See, this birch bark is really great for lighting fires because it's really full of oils. So when it started to rot away, as it is here, or the inside's rotting away, and the bark comes off quite easily, so that's something that I always appreciate finding. There's a bit more down there. And we've got some celandines. We haven't. We've got some celandines just peeking up. I'm going to take you to where I've been collecting some medicine which has been immune boosting for me and my family and others I wanted to offer it to. If you want to look it up, there are, in our native woodlands, lots of really strong medicines which have been researched by medical mycologists and are constantly being used as part of cancer treatments and recognised for their immune boosting and anti-inflammatory properties. And the ones that we find, well, the ones that I'm finding really regularly at the moment in this area, and you'll probably find them where you are as well if you look, are turkey tail, which are usually found on dead or rotting tree stumps, and they look like a turkey's tail, and they're a hard kind of bracket fungus, but there's usually several layers of these, up to hundreds of layers of these individual tails. And so you can look up turkey tail if you're interested. And the other one that I've been using a lot recently is the birch polypore, and this was found on a 5,000-year-old skeleton, or mummy in fact, found in the Alps in the 90s. So it's been used by humans for 5,000 years at least, and you usually find it on dead or dying birch trees, well, always on birch trees, that's why it's called a birch polypore. And again, if you're interested, you can look up online. But the main thing is to, I suppose, the invitation that I'm bringing in this moment is that you open to the possibility of medicine around us. And it's something most of us are really unfamiliar with. I'm fairly new to as well. But once we start allowing ourselves to notice what's there and find useful purpose in the things that are in the woodland or growing naturally in the hedgerows, there's a certain strengthening sense of ourselves as part of our ecosystem in which we've evolved, and we have got this instinctive belonging and this wish to be whole as part of that wholeness of the ecosystem again. And what I can say is that it's not hard to even take little steps back in towards that feeling of wholeness by starting to know again some of these natural ancient relationships. But this is the birch polypore down there. It's a bracket fungus, and the fruiting body stays for over a year, so they're usually really easy to fairly easy to find because they last for so long. Ooh, just found a beautiful bit of lichen as well. Look at the detail on that. You can't really see the detail on that. Detail on that is fantastic. So the other thing I'm going to point out as we're down here is the strange kind of orange ferrous, maybe iron mineral swamp down here. And beautiful new growth that's coming out of it. It almost looks like a tropical pond with these amazing shoots of green bursting up. And also you can see just behind it lots of bright yellow flowers which seem to thrive. They're only found in this spot in the woods. You can hear a chaffinch calling there. It's not the chaffinch call that you would hear if you looked up what a chaffinch call is, but in my experience, this is when they're looking for a mate. They seem to, at this time of year, they seem to sit at the top of a tree and just make that plaintive call for days or weeks until they find someone to nest with. There's a lovely bit of birch bark there, which I was showing you earlier, which is really good for firelighting. I don't think I'm going to take this because it just looks so lovely with it being it's just like a little collar halfway up this dead trunk. Standing dead wood is where most of the biodiversity in a woodland comes from. So that's why it's important not to clear out the dead trees. This is a bit of turkey tail, like I was telling you about. It's not in very good condition, it's quite old. So normally you'd be able to see the bands a bit more clearly. That just gives you an idea of how it might grow. Of course, never try to take anything based on my recommendation. I'm merely showing you some of the variety of species and some of the detail in the woodland that maybe goes unnoticed and which is really useful to humans, always has been. And if it's something you're interested in, you can take further, but if not, please don't try anything based on what I say. So here behind me is a stand of hazel, and the shoots, as you can see, grow really tall and straight, and they regenerate from the base. And so we use these a lot in craft making. The hazel is not only really straight in how it grows, it's also really flexible, so we use it for making hurdles. We can make it into hoops and circles, and it will, once you've bent it carefully into shape, it will retain the shape. So I'm a bit out of breath now. I was getting a bit cold, so I've come steep uphill from the stream up to our camp that we often use. So if you haven't been able to get out and you're missing your regular activities, and this is somewhere that you usually come and take part in our courses, I can confirm for you it's still here, and the space will look forward to welcoming you back again when the time is right. So if you are also feeling a bit cool or chilly from being still, then take a pause here and be active. Just walk steeply uphill if you can. That's what I've just done. But just do something to warm you up, some kind of swinging of arms and legs. So we're coming almost to the end of the walk, and this is one of my favourite sites in the woods, and it's also one of my favourite textures. It's just so spongy, and the little star shapes of the moss are just so beautiful. And so we're going to pause again here to just be in relationship to all of this living world. So inviting you again to notice your physical contact with the earth beneath you, or just the floor if you're inside, but noticing where you are in this building. Are you upstairs or downstairs? Noticing spatially where that is, also in the wider geographical area. So coming out of our thoughts and stories and knowledge of our clever minds and into a sense of self in relation to our environment. So that's physical environment that might be man-made or natural, but just noticing now, noticing what's around you, the structures, the growth immediately in your vicinity, above and below you. Noticing now what's a bit further away, maybe 100 meters, maybe across into somebody else's house or garden, maybe out into a field or a park, and then taking your awareness one step further to this, your placing within this wider geographical area, probably in the southwest, probably in Bath and North East Somerset, where the sweep of the Atlantic offers winds into the cities of Bath and Bristol and the hills of the Mendips, and noticing how it is for us to be in this island, in this northern country, and yet still feeling connected, because we are always in relationship with a wider and wider world, all the way out to the stars and moon above us, and to the tides that wash our shores and that also circulate in the oceans to other countries and other continents. So just being with this sense of self amongst this greatness, this vastness. Maybe taking a deeper breath, noticing how your lungs can expand slightly more than you might normally do, and taking a few of these slightly expanded breaths really slowly and in your own time, just exploring and playing with how much capacity there is in your lungs, how much of that wonderful alveoli and bronchial material is not used in daily life, and just now feeling into that space, taking 5 deep breaths in your own time. So that was the first of our Wellbeing College nature walks for mindfulness, and I'm really looking forward to doing another one with you. I hope you come along next time. I'm aware the sound quality might be slightly, or the sound volume might be slightly low, so I'll be trying to improve that going forward, and sending you all really good, strong, calm wishes for seeing through the next few months. Bye.